Welcome to The Problematic Gaze with me, Dr. Lee Arnott.
And me, Dave Moore.
Each episode we take a piece of pop culture from yesteryear and ask ourselves the question, could you get away with it today? And if not, why not? And what does that say about society and culture then and now?
And before we take a deep dive into our chosen topic, we'll also look at the news events of the day. We'll look at the TV and film landscape and the pop charts, just to put our chosen topic and year into context. Smooth. Yeah, we're getting there, aren't we?
Getting there.
We're award-winning now, aren't we?
Let's not mention it again, please.
I can't help myself.
Can't help yourself.
No, I like your top today.
Thank you. Obviously, I'm channeling a certain Doctor Who companion from the 1980s.
And for our listener gazers, who is that?
It's Adric.
Right.
It will mean nothing if nobody doesn't watch Doctor Who. But just go with it. I've got very low-key cosplay on today, actually.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Now, I've got a slightly more international. This is Wayland Yutani. This is the big bad wolf from the Alien franchise. So this is a corporation that wants to bring the aliens back to Earth so they can cultivate them for biological weapons.
Right.
Yes.
Good.
Just keeping it light.
Keeping it light.
Yes.
Yeah, well, my Doctor Who companion is one of the few ones that actually got killed in the show. So keeping it light as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I am feeling slightly fragile today. We are having a coffee morning because we had a Strictly evening last night, didn't we?
Yes, we
Invited the neighbours over while you were here up at PG Manor. Vegetarian moussaka went down very well.
Yes, it did.
Because Lee is a vegetarian, so whenever we have people around, we cater for Lee too. And it's really nice, actually.
Hashtag Lee too.
Yeah. But I have to say, Quorn goes right through me.
Does it really?
Yeah.
That's because it's not meat, you see, which usually clogs you up.
Oh, is that right?
I'm working with a colon hydrotherapist. Meat is one of the worst things we can eat for our guts because it's very difficult to digest and takes ages.
I
So
see.
perhaps you should be going right through you. That's what it's supposed to do.
Do you know what I could murder right now?
What?
Because I've got a little bit of a head on from last night.
What?
Sausage sandwich.
Do you know what? So we just move on. Some people, you just can't help them, can you? We are in a new year today. Not literally a new year, but for us, the Tally TARDIS has taken us to somewhere we have never been before.
Oh.
We step out into the brave new world of 2014. 11 years ago, I'm good at maths. Rachel Riley, move over, love.
Yeah.
And we're looking at Benefit Street, the Channel 4 documentary. What's your relationship with Benefit Street, Dave?
Dipped in and out of it when it was on. Obviously, I was more aware of the brouhaha it was causing at the time, accused of a new phrase being coined, poverty porn, which we'll deep dive into later on. I just thought it was a little bit voyeuristic. But I don't want to know about the antics of deprived people who the system has failed. So I just felt a bit icky watching it, to be honest.
Right.
How about you?
I didn't watch it,
Right.
was aware of the brouhaha like you. And again, like yourself, it felt a bit exploitative. It felt like it wasn't really anything I was particularly interested in. I didn't really want to see, as you say, people who have been fucked over by the system suffering, which seems to be a lot of people want to see people fucked over by the system suffering, but we'll also get into that. So it was quite interesting watching this with completely new eyes.
Yes.
Having never seen it before.
Yeah, and as is the one on the problematic gaze, it was really interesting to see how times have changed in a short space of time.
Yes.
How attitudes have changed, what's deemed acceptable on TV and what's deemed not acceptable on
but
TV.
also how attitudes towards the poor have remained constant since the fucking Victorian times. So before we get into that, should we have a look at some of the news events of the year and cross over to the news desk?
Let's do it. So these are some of the news events in the UK from the year 2014. So on the 19th of January, the UK Independence Party, or UKIP, suspends an Oxfordshire councillor who blamed the floods that hit the country earlier in the month on the government's decision to legalise same-sex marriage because it had angered God.
Let's put this hypothesis to the test. If that were true, then surely what we could do as the gays, as our duty, would just go to like really countries that experience really periods of drought and go, do you know what? Marry us here and God will be displeased and you'll have water again. We could solve the world's drought crisis, the lack of water. We'll just give it to the gays because clearly this stupid man, that's what he believes would happen.
Yeah.
So it could be our public duty if it were remotely possible or true, you fool. Not you, Dave, obviously. Fool.
I think he's got a point.
You could say that because the rest of the month is pretty wet, isn't it?
I jest, obviously.
But yeah, this is particularly wet start to the year. On the 24th of January, Sedgemoor District Council in Somerset declares a major incident in flooded areas as forecasters warn of more rain. A day later, trees are uprooted and structural damage is caused to buildings by lightning as a heavy rainstorm hits the Midlands. On the 30th of January, figures released by the Met Office indicate southern England and parts of the Midlands have experienced their highest January rainfall since records began in 1910. The announcement comes as military personnel prepare to help residents in flooded areas of Somerset.
Bit wet.
Bit wet. And it doesn't stop, does it?
It doesn't stop because on the 5th of January, it doesn't stop because, have you done slurping your tea?
Oh, that's right. Blame me for your shortcomings reading again.
Crashing my line. That's what put me off. It's what I have to put up with. You know, when you work in professional environments on set, there are no liquids allowed because you may spill it all over the set.
Why have you got a cup of tea
Which
there?
you almost did spill the tea when you brought it in.
Why have you got a cup of tea then there as well?
This is my house. I can do what I want. There's no
just
on
get
set.
on with it.
All right, sorry. Okay, I'm ready now. On the 5th of February, part of the South Devon Railway seawall carrying the railway line linking London with the west coast of England is washed away by a powerful storm that's hit the UK overnight. Thousands of homes are also left without electricity. So Prime Minister David Cameron announces that an extra 100 million will be spent on dealing with the aftermath of the floods that have hit the UK. Well, a bit flooded out now.
Bit flooded out.
That was a lot of
There was
flood
a lot, wasn't
information.
that? Yeah, there was a lot of flooded. But blame the gays.
It's the gays.
The gays.
Yeah. What should have happened was all the gays in the country
Should
have been forced to get their galoshes on.
Yes, like Margot from The Good Life.
Yeah, exactly. And repair this bloody railway line.
The damage they caused the country. Yeah, we'd have helped if we'd been called up, wouldn't we? Would we? Bugger, it's not our fault.
No.
On the 28th of March, now this keeps in with the themes we'll talk about today, BBC research suggests that less than 6% of social housing tenants affected by the bedroom tax have moved house as a result of the controversial measure. The bedroom tax was part of the 2012 Reform Act that penalised tenants in receipt of housing benefit with spare bedrooms.
Yeah, okay. Oh, God, it's the gays again. Oh, do you know what? That UKIP man, the Oxfordshire councillor,
Yes.
would have been absolutely livid at this.
I bet he's spitting feathers at this.
It's not mean. It's probably a closet.
Probably masturbating furiously, actually.
Yeah. Okay, on the 29th of March, the first same-sex weddings take place in England and Wales, following a change in the law in 2013 allowing same-sex marriage.
That's it now, Sodom and
That's
Gomorrah,
it.
isn't it?
This marks the start of the downfall of Western civilization, right there. You can see it. Trump getting into power, civil war in America.
Yeah. Trump
Farage.
probably got in by this point, hasn't he?
Who?
Trump. Oh, no, he hasn't. 2016 he gets it. Oh, God, it is. It's our fault, Dave. You got married to your husband, didn't you?
I did.
You're part of the problem.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that two people falling in love and wanting to build life together would create such havoc?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. On the 7th of July, Home Secretary Theresa May announces a major review in... I'll start that again.
I'm not drinking anything. I'm not drinking anything. I'm just sitting here completely silently not moving.
It's the hangover. On the 7th of July, Home Secretary Theresa May announces a major review and inquiry into allegations of historical child sex abuse across all areas of UK society. The announcement was prompted by reports that the Home Office failed to act on allegations that a paedophile ring operated in Westminster during the 1980s. Can you imagine people making inquiries and saying this has happened and the Home Office going, oh, a bit busy.
Yeah. Shutting it all down.
Too busy.
Yes.
It's going to cause such a brouhaha. Let's just put that to the bottom of the pile.
That paedophile ring was exposed as a kind of fakery, wasn't it? But the fact is there was so much institutional, historical child sex abuse going on that I think it was Jimmy Savile probably opened the floodgates, wasn't it? It was a bit like a Me Too movement, but for child abuse. It's horrible.
Really. It is horrible. It is horrible.
On the 18th of September, the 2014 Scottish independence referendum takes place. Scotland votes no to independence by a majority of 384,000 votes, with a margin of 55% to 44%-ish. Voter turnout in the referendum is 85%, a record high for any election held in the UK since the introduction of universal suffrage in 1918. Also gave us a little sneaky glimpse into what Brexit was going to be like, didn't it? Because by that stage, we've got Twitter, and I remember the argument got really bitter and rancorous about independence within Scotland itself. And also people from England going, well, fucking in if you want it. Or also, please stay, please don't. It was really just a little foreglimpse of what Brexit was going to be like and continues to be like.
But do you know what? I take my hat off to the Scots because 84% turnout just shows how passionate they were at whatever side of the political debate they sat on.
Yeah.
They knew the power of voting, which is something as English could do with learning about, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wasn't the turnout for the last election it was just really
It's
low?
full, isn't it? Yeah.
It's just like apathy.
Yeah.
People can't be arsed, and we're seeing it now with the Conservatives and Labour, with the emergence of Reform and the Greens at the moment.
And when people don't vote, then parties like Reform can spot a gap and just get in there, mobilise their voters to call to arms. So,
oh dear. Where would you emigrate to if you could?
we can't. Bloody can't.
We can't, because Brexit took care of that. But also, if you want to go further afield, Canada.
I'd go to Canada.
Good luck there, mate, because of the age we are now.
I know, they don't want us, do they?
Why would they want us?
Yeah. We've got a lot to offer. God, read the next one, Dave. Read the next one.
Okay. All right, then. So, we talked a great deal about the flooding and the rain. Guess what? 2014 was the UK's warmest year since records began, with an average temperature of 9.9 degrees Celsius, which is 0.2 Celsius higher than the previous record set in 2006, according to a Met Office report. This means that 8 of the UK's top 10 warmest years have occurred since 2002.
Yes.
Well, it's almost as if something is happening.
I know.
In the atmosphere.
It's almost as if the hotter everything gets and the more water gets put into the atmosphere and the more rain and flooding you get. It's weird, isn't it? How it works.
If that was the case, wouldn't all of the newspapers be screaming about it, saying we're in real danger here? Yes,
and wouldn't every politician be trying to help us and trying to stop it happening? But who can say anyway? But the good news this year, and finally, in 2014, the UK reaches a significant milestone in its renewable energy sector. For the first quarter of that year, renewables supplied about 20% of electricity generation, thanks to strong wind, rain and growth in solar farms. This shows a substantial progress in clean energy, reducing reliance on fossil fuels and moving towards a greener, more sustainable power system.
Well, yes. I don't really have anything to say about that because it's quite boring.
It is.
But essential.
Yes.
That's the thing. If we carry on the way we are, it's going to kill future generations, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's going to make the equator uninhabitable, which means migration is only going to get worse and worse.
It's happening already.
So do you think all these bloody flag shaggers who are worried about the amount of immigrants coming into the country would want to do something about that?
Yes.
But nah.
No,
they'd just rather stand outside hotels and shout.
Yes, exactly. Look at us being all political.
Oh, do you know what I mean?
Let's get off that.
Yeah, moving along.
Palate cleanser, please. Palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Should we have a look at
the TV?
Yes, the TV landscape of 2014. So we look at the top TV shows by channel, the top 5, the big ones.
What do you want to do? Why don't you do Channel 4? And then I'll do BBC 2, and then you could do ITV, and I'll do BBC 1.
Are we just ignoring Channel 5?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think we should actually, because Channel 5's got a couple of. I'm going to quickly segue to Channel 5 first before I do Channel 4, because we've got 2 programmes in the top 10: Benefits Britain, Life on the Dole, and The Big Benefits Row, which suggests that benefits, people on benefits, are a bit of a hot topic in 2014. There's also Celebrity Big Brother, so that's now on Channel 5 by this point. But Channel 4. The highest rated show of the year is Benefit Street. I don't know if it still holds the record, but at the time it was certainly Channel 4's highest rated documentary show in its history. Yeah. So it was very successful for them. Also, we've got Gogglebox, we've got a couple of films, we've got Benefits Britain, The Debate, Benefit Street, The Last Word. We've got One Born Every Minute, and Peter Kay is also on telly as well. So that's Channel 4's big TV shows of the year.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, I'll do BBC 2 now before we get to the top, the big 2. So, interesting to see on BBC 2 top shows, the great sport relief Bake Off. So Bake Off is still on the BBC at this point.
Still a BBC property, yeah.
Absolutely. Line of Duty is on BBC 2, as is MasterChef, The Professionals. My favourite, University Challenge.
Yes.
I mean, the elation you get when you get a question right on University Challenge, especially if you're sat with your family, like your in-laws, because they look at you and think, oh, God.
I know. I told you I came close to being on University Challenge, but I couldn't go on it because I just thought I'm not being that guy. But Beck Arnott it. Is it purple?
You should have gone on it. You would have been really good. It would have been really good. It's when they start talking about quantum physics.
Yeah, exactly.
Or some obscure artist.
Exactly.
Just like, how the fuck are you supposed to know everything? Now,
Back on it. Is it Box Fizz?
Yeah.
No.
Is it Adric from Doctor Who?
I'm not showing myself up, be joking.
Okay, also on BBC Two, Mary Berry Cooks, St Mary for me.
St Mary, yeah.
And, The Fall. Do you remember The Fall?
Gillian Anderson, David Dornan.
Sexy serial killer.
Yes.
Doing hideous things to women, but all you could think of was like...
It kind of was going against the message.
Just highlight what a twisted nation we are.
Absolutely.
Go on then.
Also, BBC The Sewing Bee. It's on BBC Two at that point. Yeah, I agree. That's been going this long. I can't believe Line of Duty and The Sewing Bee have run around since 2014.
Yeah, this is 11 years ago, but I just think the past 10 years have just all morphed into some sort of hideous kind of wormhole.
Yeah. Good. On ITV, the top TV shows there's football this year, there's a World Cup thing. Britain's Got Talent, I'm a Celebrity are the two highest rated shows. Coronation Street, Downton Abbey, my favourite. The X Factor, Birds of a Feather.
Oh, that's
the
made a
reboot.
comeback, yeah.
Scylla, Chinchilla. That was the... what's that?
Sheridan Smith.
Sheridan Smith. That was great, actually. I really
good.
enjoyed that. Emmerdale and Skyfall, showing that Bond could still pull in a big audience. 8 million at this point. We're not talking the huge back in the days for 20 million for a film premiere, but yeah, still there.
Okay, so again, on BBC One, World Cup dominates, top of the ratings for Germany versus Argentina. Also, we've got the Great British Bake Off, Sherlock, Strictly Come Dancing is riding high, obviously. Call the Midwife, Mrs. Brown's Boy. We should do Mrs. Brown's Boys just to see if we can sit through an episode.
Oh, yeah, we should. Put it on the list.
Sorry, guys, as if you like Mrs. Brown's Boys, but we can't be friends.
We will be judging you.
Yeah, we'll be judging
quite negatively, actually.
Yeah, or rehabilitating you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. More like you judging.
Weaning you off.
Yeah.
Yes, off the Mrs. Brown's teats.
Oh, God.
And...
You weaned off Mrs. Brown's teats.
Oh, okay. And then we've got the Musketeers. Whatever.
Musketeers, that was a thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Peter Capaldi filmed the first series, but then got Doctor Who, so had to resign halfway through.
He jumped ship.
Yeah. Okay. A few surprises there, actually.
Yeah.
But some of the names are still on TV.
We're going to be mentioning the Great British Bake Off a little bit later on.
Are we?
Surprisingly. Yes, we are.
Okay, good.
Yes. Hold that for.
Should we have a look at the top 20 or the top 10? Because this is the top 10, because Benefit Street was broadcast on Channel 4 on the 6th of January, 2014. So this is the top 40 of the 5th of January, for Sunday, 2014. I am convinced I'm going to know absolutely none of these.
Yeah, me too.
So should we just do the top 10?
Let's just do the top 10 because we don't want to bore our guys.
I'll start us off. We've got Counting Stars, One Republic.
Yes, I think I do know that one, but it's just a little bit forgetful, isn't it? Story of My Life, One Direction. Obviously, One Direction, huge phenomenon.
Yeah.
But not for me, really.
Animals by Martin Garrix, number 8.
Number 7, Skyscraper, Sam Bailey, obviously of X Factor fame.
Oh, she won the X Factor, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Yeah. Number 6, The Monster, which is Eminem featuring Rihanna.
Okay, cool. Number 5, How Long Will I Love You? Ellie Goulding.
Don't know.
And you know what? I went to a corporate do, and it was just from a friend. She said, "Do you want to come to this thing?" And I think it was BMW World or something.
BMW World, is that like Disney World?
Yeah. I think it might be Mercedes World. I don't know. That's how much I know about cars. It was a car thing. But it was a corporate do, and Ellie Goulding was playing, and it was before she got really famous and everything.
Right.
She was fantastic.
Was she?
Yeah. She's just like a proper all-round, huge, massive talent. What's that? Just falling off that scab off your arm.
Scab off my arm.
I hope we've got that on camera. I hope.
It's just caught, and when it catches...
There's me trying to give gazers some kind of content and texture.
Ellie Goulding.
And there's you sat there picking a scab off your arm, and it just fell onto the floor as well.
It's still on my arm, actually.
You can vacuum.
It's fallen on the floor.
You can vacuum in here when we de-rig. Gazers, honestly, it's what I have to deal with.
Anyway, number 4 is Trumpets by Jason Derulo. Obviously, no Jason Derulo.
Jason Derulo. Okay, number 3, Hey Brother, Avicii. Now, that is a bit of a banger.
Don't know it. I know Avicii.
You will if you
know
hear
the
it.
name.
I'm not singing it to you.
Oh, number 2, Happy. Pharrell Williams, okay, we know that one. Yeah.
It's got a little bit on your nerves after a while because it was everywhere.
Totally got on your nerves. Everyone was doing it. I remember on YouTube was flooded with people doing stupid things to it when just like people at work doing their workplaces and just to happy. And it was just like...
Just happy. And then the cynicism and the rot sets in.
Yeah.
And you end up being anything but happy.
Yes, very unhappy. Yeah.
Number one, okay, that is Timber by Pitbull featuring Kesha.
Good.
Let's just move on quick.
Right, now, Dave, would you like to tell us a bit about Benefit Street?
I will.
please?
Benefit Street is a British documentary series broadcast on Channel 4 and produced by Love Productions. It followed the lives of benefits claimants and showed them committing crimes, including a demonstration on how to shoplift, and portrayed a situation in which people are dependent on benefits and voluntarily refuse to seek employment. The first season began airing on the 6th of January 2014 and ran for 5 episodes, during which it documented the lives of several people living on James Turner Street in Wilson Green area of Birmingham, where the media reports that 90% of the residents claim benefits. And then a second series began airing on the 11th of May 2015 and ran for 4 episodes, with this season focusing on the residents of Kingston Road in Stockton-on-Tees. So that's the bones of it.
So we watched episode 1 of series 1, in which we meet the residents, as you say, of James Turner Street in Winson Green, Birmingham, a community where, quote, most of the residents are on benefits, end quote. We meet several locals, including White D, a mother who informally looks after neighbours and offers advice. We meet Fungi, a man struggling with addiction and petty theft, and other residents trying to get by amid unemployment and poverty. Through their daily lives, borrowing money, visiting the job centre, chatting on the street, the episode paints a picture of hardship, camaraderie and routine survival. There's humour and warmth, but does it exploit vulnerable people for entertainment rather than exploring the systemic causes of deprivation? Yes.
Yeah. So it was a really controversial series, wasn't
Yes.
it? So much so that the police and the media regulator, Ofcom, received hundreds of complaints, and there were death threats made to the residents of the street that featured on the show on Twitter. And many of those taking part claimed that they were misled by the producers. So Ofcom launched an investigation into whether the programme had breached the broadcasting regulations, but ultimately concluded that rules hadn't been broken. The producers defending the series, arguing that the reaction to it demonstrated the importance of making such a documentary, and the series was mentioned in the House of Commons and prompted some political debate on the topic of benefits. Yeah.
And the language, as you say, the death threats and stuff, it's all tied up with this idea we have in this country of the deserving poor, which is a concept that dates back to, 16th, 17th century, and especially Victorian Britain, and is a very moralistic way about thinking about poverty. It divides poor people into 2 groups, those who are seen as deserving of help and those who are undeserving. And the deserving are people who were typically poor through no fault of their own, widows, orphans, the sick or the elderly, and they were viewed as respectable, humble and grateful and willing to work if given a chance. The undeserving poor are seen as idle, immoral, unwilling to work, like beggars, drunkards, or those perceived to be choosing welfare over employment. And the Elizabethan poor laws, they were talking about the 16th century, institutionalised this concept. Victorians take it and run with it. Industrialisation means we get things like the workhouses, where the undeserving poor are sent, which are designed to be as horrific as possible. And people just spend all day doing these tasks which are pointless, just to punish them for being poor. And it continues, the language of this continues, skivers, scroungers, is still what this debate was framed in. And that language of hatred that was directed towards these people, there's still... And this programme pissed a lot of people off, didn't it? It showed people trying to get by, but why are they still smoking? Why have they got a TV? Today, why have they got mobile phones? Ignoring the fact that the only way you can access universal credit is if you have a mobile phone or a laptop. So just to wrap up this point on the deserving poor, it blames individuals instead of actually the systems of inequality and oppression that keep them in these positions. Underfunded services, discrimination, housing shortages, shit wages, keep people poor. It creates stigma and shame. People need to prove they're worthy of receiving benefits. It justifies unequal treatment. It keeps the harsh welfare rules, systems which punish people. Moral policing of the poor is allowed to continue with this idea of deserving and undeserving. It ignores any of the complexity of people's circumstances. So people might fall into debt, people might be ill, people might have mental health issues, but it doesn't. They're either deserving or undeserving, either or, nothing in between. There's no kind of grades or... And finally, it perpetuates class division. It allows the middle and upper classes to continue to maintain this moral judgment on the lower classes and maintaining their sense of moral superiority and reinforcing social hierarchies, which maintain systems of inequality and oppression. So it's a bit shit, everybody. We could do better.
It is a bit shit, which made this programme all the more unsavoury or unpalatable to exploit these people and say, look, these are the dregs of society.
Yes.
But also in this country and in the Western world and beyond, we champion people who seem to rise up from unfortunate situations, make something of themselves and rise to the top, which is seen as the ultimate goal for everybody. So a general attitude, I think, that people look at these people and say, well, they could do it. Why can't you?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You're lazy.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Ignoring the fact that the systems of oppression which keep people at the bottom have got increasingly worse and worse. So it's more and more difficult to pull yourself up by your bootstraps these days. And invariably, people who tell people they need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps seem to be people in a position of privilege and wealth and power. So
talk about privilege and wealth. Look at it, it's all about birthright, isn't it? It's all about the circumstances in which you were born, which as a baby you have no control over.
Yeah.
So if you're born into this system, what's the difference between that baby that's born into extreme poverty and Prince Andrew born into this extreme wealth,
Absolutely.
who then goes on to abuse his power and his money and his authority and his titles, etc.
Absolutely.
So it's all about the luck of the draw, pot luck, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So before people start pouring their opinions out or looking down their nose at people in these situations.
There, but for the grace of God.
Exactly.
It could have been you in that position, you know? And if you think about the kind of context of, like we've seen in those top 10 shows, you know, this benefits are a hot topic at this point, as they ever are. And again, it's really easy to kick the people and punish the people who've got absolutely fuck all, rather than looking at the people who've got so much wealth and so much power and just don't contribute or give anything to make this very unequal system a bit more equal for everybody.
Yeah. It feels to me as though, obviously watching social media and everything, that there is this sort of groundswell realisation in people that it is the big corporations that have contributed to this. There is this huge, massive societal inequality. It feels as though that the more we see the Jeff Bezos and the Elon Musks flexing their muscles and influencing the world and controlling the majority of the wealth, it feels to me as though there's a waking up, there's an awakening of that at the moment.
Yes, it's just what do we do about it?
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, did you want to put this episode in context in terms of why these people are suffering so much? Because it's a lot to do with the credit crunch, isn't it?
It is. So I wanted to know why in 2014 or the early 10s, why there was this big key debate in the benefit system and everything, because I didn't really understand it.
No, I didn't. I don't really.
So I thought, actually, after watching this Benefit Street, where they're all talking about having their benefits cut, why that was the case and why it was such a big debate with the bedroom tax and everything. So bear with me. So I'm going to try and put it in real layman's terms, because that's what I needed to understand this.
Yeah.
Okay, I might have to start this a bit while I read it through. But okay, so in 2008, we had the global financial crisis, and the crisis started in the USA in 2007 and 2008 with the mortgage crisis. So the banks issued all these high-risk home loans or mortgages to borrowers who couldn't really afford them. And it was really risky, and it was all bundled into these really complex financial products. And these were all sold globally, including into the UK banks. The UK banks were really heavily invested in this American mortgage market. But then when US borrowers, you know, the people paying the mortgages, when they defaulted, it was really precarious. And so many people defaulted on it. This whole system collapsed and all this money was lost.
Because I remember seeing on the news them at the time talking about this mortgage crisis in America and them saying this is going to affect everybody that's caught up in this banking system. So I remember the kind of precursor to it happening.
But then, like me, thought, what's that got to do with us?
Yes.
But it is because the UK banks invested in these mortgages and everything held them up. So when it collapsed, no one got their money back. And it was major banks like RBS, the Royal Bank of Scotland, HBOS, which is Halifax Bank of Scotland, and Northern Rock. So they were all so dangerously over-leveraged that, borrowing huge sums to fund these risky investments. So the banks collapsed. Northern Rock was the first UK bank to fail in 2007. It had relied heavily on short-term borrowing to fund long-term mortgages. So there was a bank run, which is people queuing to withdraw savings. So it prompted the government to bail the bank out. Otherwise, people in the UK would have lost all their money.
Yes.
And of course, up to a certain point, all the money's insured anyway, up to, I think it's 80 grand or something. So the government had to pay it out. So RBS and Lloyds also required massive government bailouts to prevent collapse. So the government spent over £136 billion rescuing these banks.
Wow, gosh.
So, of course, what has to happen? They've got to make that money back.
Yeah.
Because all that £137 billion was stuff that was going into the NHS, was going to pay for benefits, going to pay for education, infrastructure.
Yeah. And that's not stuff you find down the back of the couch, is it, Dave?
It's not.
No.
And this is taxpayers' money.
Yes.
This is our money that we paid in to the coffers. And so that's when austerity starts.
We're all in it together.
Yes, exactly. So from 2015 to 2016, the Conservative majority government, where the Chancellor was George Osborne, announced the summer budget, and they announced a further 12 billion in welfare cuts and planned cuts to tax credits, which is mentioned, isn't it, in this?
Yeah.
And there was a 4-year benefit freeze. Also, they lowered the benefit cap to 20 grand outside London and 23,000 in London. So that was that. And they introduced the 2-child limit on child tax credits and later universal credits. If you've got more than 4 kids, you're only going to get benefits for 2 of them.
Yes, yeah. That's also one of the other things as well, wasn't it? Feckless fathers having all these kids everywhere.
Yeah. And also, the universal credit rollout is accelerated with widespread reports of hardship due to a 5-week wait for your first payments, advance payments as loans.
Yes.
So, you have
Which still happens.
Pay interest on the loan that you received. And so many sanctions and errors. And there was a report showed that food bank usage spiked in areas where universal credit was introduced.
Of course it does. People literally have nothing of it. It's money's taken away from them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in 2019, which is 5 years after this show aired, there was a UN report on UK poverty, and it stated austerity has inflicted great misery on people across the UK.
Wow, gosh.
So if you're poor and you're getting benefits to keep your head above water, they're all being slashed.
Yes.
And particularly targeted were people on disability benefit with these PIP assessments coming out, made it so hard for disabled people to claim this benefit. And, they were all called in to are you really disabled?
Yeah.
Can you really work?
Yeah.
Look, we're not trying to say that everybody who receives benefits is deserving of them, because some people do fiddle the system. But also, people fiddle the system because they're desperate.
Yes.
A lot of the time.
Yeah. And also, it's a grey area, isn't it? There's instance of everything that happen across applicants of universal credit.
Yeah.
People, as we've said, could be ill or could be fiddling it. But we can't just blanket everybody.
Yeah.
Or paint them all as scroungers or etc. So that's a really interesting context for where we were lucky, I guess, that we weren't really touched by this. Weren't our circumstances.
No.
So we were in a position of privilege to not have to really think about this. But it's
so we're kind of like the middle ground, aren't we, between the rich and the poor?
Yeah.
But also, I think this really highlights and hits home how the ineptitude of the banks. And the higher-ups who are earning these huge, massive bonuses and things like that were responsible for the financial shit that Britain, we're talking about Britain here, ended up in around this time. £137 billion lost.
Yeah, and who gets punished for it?
Yeah.
People at the bottom. It's never the people at the top get punished for it, do they?
No.
Was it ever thus?
Yes, exactly.
Well, it's a really interesting context to put this episode in, because we meet. Let's talk about the episode then itself. I was quite struck by the sense of community that I got watching this episode, and I did really feel that actually I could, at some level, I could see the pearl clutchers who would watch it and get pissed off with seeing people smoking, seeing people with our latest TV and stuff. But quite frankly, if you've got fuck all else, the few things you're going to be able to if you can, buy is a TV that works, because you've got nothing else. There's no chance of employment. They talk about the fact there's no jobs. Why wouldn't you at least try and give yourself some kind of home comfort? But the other people like Fungate, clearly his situation and his life was a source of tragedy.
Yeah.
You couldn't possibly look at him and think he's a scrounger. Just clearly, he was on the rob.
Yeah.
He's trying to shoplift. He's selling magazines, which aren't the big issue, pretending they're the big issue. But he's doing that because he hasn't got a pot to piss in.
And it's alluded to that he suffered abuse when he was younger.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah.
And he's a drug addict as well, an alcoholic.
Yes.
And again, when there's nothing else to do and you've got a constant reminder of how your life is, what are some people going to do?
Yeah.
Try and forget it.
Absolutely.
For a brief amount of time.
Absolutely. I don't think any of us can imagine what it must be like to wake up knowing you've got absolutely no money, you've got no prospect, you've got nothing to do that day. So the one thing if you've got some pennies in your pocket, the one thing you might do is just choose to get blasted off your face. Why wouldn't you? And as we know, apathy and inaction breeds more apathy and more inaction. So we can say let's go to the job centre, but if they go to the job centre, there's no jobs. Motivated to do something else. It's impossible to motivate if you get into such an amotivational state caused by just constant periods of inactivity. It doesn't work like that.
It was saying that this area where we are in Birmingham it's got the highest rate of unemployment in the country. Yeah. So even if you wanted to try and dig yourself out of this by going to get a job, there's fuck all jobs.
Fuck all.
Caused by what happened with the banks.
Yes, yeah. And we meet White D.
Yes.
And she was a real course celeb at the time, wasn't she? And she's basically the mum of the street. She tries to keep Fungi. Is it Fungi or Fungi?
I think it's Fungi.
Fungi off the drugs by giving him extra work. She says he's shit at the jobs everybody gives him, but we try and keep him occupied. And I thought, what an amazing woman. She helps Black D with her court appearance and her rent. Black D's late on her rent. And I just thought, I don't understand why this woman was demonised so much when I see a woman trying her best to help other members of this community. I thought she was... So what if she smokes? So what if she's got 2 kids by different dads? She's in a shitty position, and rather than turning introspective and not doing anything about it, she's helping other people. It was like... Couldn't get why she got such a bad rep.
No, I know. She does try and help, and she tells other people off for giving Fungi a can of lager and things. And she, when he does get his benefits, he gives part of it to her because he knows that when he gets it back, she's not going to give it back to him to buy alcohol. It's to get his clothes washed, to get food and things. So she kind of acts as this secure safety blanket for him to a certain extent.
Yes.
And then, she helps out Black D. So Black D has been out of work for 6 years. And as a result of this austerity, her benefits are being cut. So she falls behind on her rent, and she's sent to court for being £200 in arrears. Yeah. Which... It's just pitiful. And then we see her trying to get a job, and her friend put adverts out there looking for work.
Yes, they're looking for a Gumtree, aren't they?
Yeah, through Gumtree. They'll do any kind of work, cleaning, whatever it is. But then they get all these calls from these dirty old men going, how much you charge for sex then?
Yes.
And see that kind of link there, that it'd be very easy to fall into that trap as well.
Absolutely. And you get a real sense of hopelessness from Black D when she talks about that things are only going to get worse. There's no sense of any optimism with anybody here, that the only feeling they have about the future is pessimism. And again, that's going to make, you're not going to wake up each day and go, come on, just your money's getting shrinking. But it's...
Yeah, especially when there's a prison at the very end of the street.
Yes, yeah.
So if you go through this really shit existence and everything, and there is a constant reminder that if you commit crimes to pay your way and to feed yourself, then there's this big ominous prison at the end of it.
Yeah. And we meet Danny, don't we? And Danny is a self-confessed lazy twat. That's how he describes himself. So I can imagine people watching this, the poll clutchers would have watched this, and where he has got no shame at all, and he doesn't, to be fair.
Yeah, so Danny's just been released from Winston Green Prison at the end of the street, and he's been released after breaching a shoplifting ASBO. He'd got 200 offences and 80 convictions from the age of 12. When he comes back and it's revealed he was stabbed in prison.
Yes,
as well.
likes to show off his stab wounds. There's a bit of a cock of the walk about him. He's clearly trading on his reputation as he's been in and out of prison all this time. And they make a bit of money on the rob, don't they?
Yeah, so he gets out of prison again and immediately says, what am I going to do? He talks about this sense of shame that he's got, that he's got kids and that he can't provide for them and then that he's fucked up in his life.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if he wants to provide for his kids, what he's going to do is going to go on the rob.
Yes.
Which he does.
Yeah.
And I thought I was quite surprised about how they followed him around shoplifting, essentially, with Fun Guy kind of acting out as the lookout,
Yes.
wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd say he steals quite successfully, but he doesn't, because then he goes, well, there's something happens to him, doesn't there, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, I mean, he robs quite successfully and flogs them all.
Yeah.
That this is just this kind of black market exists in this area as well.
Yes, yeah.
But they talk about the street code. So there's a kind of, I think the producers are trying to portray this honour amongst thieves vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which sounds quite Dickensian if you want to go back to Oliver Twist and all that, and Fagin. And then Danny breaks the code by, it's not really explained in any great detail, but it feels as though I think he's robbed from a weed farm.
He basically's nicked the weed from the weed farm, hasn't he? Yeah, there's a weed farm on the street. The producers definitely try and give this idea of the unspoken honour among thieves, but there does seem to be some kind of social contract that he's breached within this community, and it's become very much, people are pissed off with him. They say it's disrespectful, you know, so there is definitely a code that you're not supposed to transgress here. It's like snitches get stitches, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so he disappears, doesn't he?
Disappears
for all his weed. And Fun Guy says these three big mean motherfuckers came looking for him, and he said, I've never seen anyone look so mean and everything. So it's just all descends, doesn't it? It's just all at this level where it's just everyone's fearful of not being able to eat, of this sub-network of drug dealing and drug buying, of thieving and everything. And it's just this whole production just paints this picture of it just being this just den of crime. But then we've got this kind of saviour figure with White D as being the one who can try and help people out of this trap.
And we've also met Smoggy. Smoggy's the 50p man.
Yes.
And a product of the area. He tries to help. He's been in prison, and he's determined never to go back to it. But he wants to help people. So what he does is he takes things like washing powder, washing up liquid, and he puts it into little cups, plastic cups that you can buy for 50 pence. So if you haven't got enough money, you need to wash your clothes, or your kids' nappies or something, you can get from Smoggy, you can get a little cup of 50p. Yeah. But even he says times are so shit that he thinks he might have to put the price down and go like 20p, 30p. And that just shows, oh my God, there's just people who've got absolutely nothing at all.
And people are grateful when he gives them a free toilet roll.
Yes.
Or here's enough washing powder for 2 washes.
Yeah.
You know, I thought he was a really interesting character because he'd been inside, he trying to elevate himself from a life of crime, but he just says it's so difficult to just get that foot up. Yeah, once you're caught in this circular system.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you had a little thing you want to talk about Love Productions, which was the company behind this show, didn't you?
Yeah, so Love Productions have got form on this kind of show. It's a UK-based television company, and it was owned by Richard McKerrow and Anna Beattie, and they formed it in 2004. And then in 2014, around about the time this show came out, Sky TV acquired a 70% stake in Love Productions, and then in 2020, Sky bought the remaining shares. What's interesting is that Love Productions also produced The Great British Bake Off.
Wow, gosh.
Yeah, so what a stark contrast.
Yeah.
But before and about the time of Benefit Street, Love Productions produced The Baby Borrowers. It's another British reality TV series for BBC Three. And the show featured 5 couples aged between 16 and 19. They start off attempting to look after a baby for 3 days before moving on to toddlers, preteens, teenagers, and finally elderly people. It also produced The Tower Block of Commons, which was a reality documentary where 4 members of Parliament have to spend time living in a variety of deprived housing estates around Britain. Nadine Dorries appeared in it.
I remember her doing that, actually. Yeah.
Amongst other MPs. But again, that's just a very much, let's go and have a look at how shit people's lives are.
Yeah, without actually addressing any of the issues as to why they continue to be shit. Yeah.
Dressed up in, let's make MPs aware of this life goes on, but it's not.
But it's not. It's a fish out of water swap, isn't it? Basically, it's wife swap. It's all kind of format.
Yeah. They also produced Rich, Famous and In the Slums, which was, it was broadcast by the BBC for comic relief. And there's a whole subculture of exploitative films made by comic relief that are now seen to be exploitative.
Yes.
The whole poverty porn thing we talked about.
Yeah.
So this was 4 famous celebrities, Lenny Henry, Reggie Yates, Samantha Womack and Angela Rippon. And they were sent by the BBC to live for several weeks in the slums of Kibera, where they had to leave all their belongings behind. Firstly, they had to live in squalor on their own. And they were given £2 to start off with to buy necessities like a toothbrush, but they had to earn all the other money they needed. So Reggie Yates goes to a wannabe hip-hop artist's house. Lenny Henry went to live with a family of orphans. Samantha Womack went to live with a inverted commas prostitute. So yeah, again, it's all looking at this.
Yeah.
Look how shit people's lives are.
Yes.
And then finally, they made a television documentary called Make Bradford British. So it looks at the levels of integration between Muslim and non-Muslim communities in Bradford, West Yorkshire. The local council leader of Bradford City Council criticised the programme as reinforcing the idea that Bradford is deeply segregated. So that was in 2014 as well.
So they tend to be making these altruistic shows, which are actually just lifting the lid on the shit people live in without actually trying to address any of the issues that keep people in shit.
Yeah.
Basically. Nice. Nice.
Yeah, but it just seemed to be kind of like a phenomenon, didn't it, around about this time?
Yeah. Well, I wonder why that is, Dave. It's almost as if the government in charge realises it needs to claw back a shitload of money from people, so possibly needs to make those people look really unpopular and deserving of it because they fucked it up. So we have to get the poor people to pay instead. So let's encourage these looks at the shit lives of people so we can all make ourselves feel better and they deserve to be paying for this stuff that we've created.
Yeah, it all just leaves you with a bit of an icky feeling, doesn't it?
Yes,
a bit
it does.
feeling a little bit unclean.
It really does. And it just doesn't seem to be getting any better. It seems to be getting worse again. And we all thought Labour were going to come in and be the great white hope. And no, instead they're going against people with disabilities, giving people with pensions and stuff. It's, for God's sake, the rising inequality. The top 3% now have got so much wealth.
I think that's what sticks in the throat for a lot of people. That's what I said about the scales falling off people's eyes a little. And the fact that we're still experiencing this hangover from the bank bailouts, 137 billion.
We've still got these attitudes of Victorians and fucking Elizabethans about who deserves it and who doesn't deserve it. Yeah.
And we've still got this, whatever way you voted in Brexit, it's undeniable that Brexit has made the country poorer as a whole. So that's contributed to it as well. But all the while, we're seeing these billionaires flaunting their wealth, like weddings in Venice.
Yes.
Michelle Moan's got her yacht.
Yes.
After the
Yeah,
PPE
still got a yacht.
scandal.
Yeah.
And it still goes unpunished.
Yeah, it does.
But watch out, gazers, because what will happen again is when we start getting too close to the billionaire owners of the major newspapers.
Yes.
We get too close to Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. What will start to happen? Start to demonise the poor again.
Yes,
saying it's
absolutely.
all their fault.
Well,
but now it's the migrants' fault.
The migrants' fault. It'll be the gays soon, love.
Yeah, exactly. We've already had the trans. We've already had the immigrants. So who are they going to come after next? I wonder.
Yeah.
It makes you so mad. But anyway, let's cleanse our palate.
Cleanse our palate.
Aren't we fortunate to be able to cleanse our palates and say we've dealt with that now?
Absolutely.
Let's move on.
Yeah, yeah. So out of 10, what would you give this?
As a social commentary, not just of the show itself, but of the wider society that it fell in, I thought this was really interesting. So I don't think I'm going to rate the show itself. I think just rate the debate we've had.
Yes.
I think on this, and I think probably give it 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
The show itself, I would probably give about 5 out of 10.
Yeah. I'd probably give the show maybe 6 or 7 out of 10. But yeah, I think it's the conversation. These conversations need to happen with some honesty and with some humility and also some humanity.
It's very sobering.
As we move from one dystopian current hellscape, what we're looking at in our next episode, Dave, we could be looking at some dystopian sci-fi future hellscape, perhaps.
We are, yes. So we're going to fling ourselves in our teletardis back to 1980 and look at UK sci-fi show Blake's 7.
Blake's 7. We'll be joined by a special guest who is going to help our discussion on all things Blake's 7. So I'm very excited about that. We'll be decking ourselves out in tinfoil and God knows what else?
Yes,
Yeah.
fighting the forces of evil.
Fighting the forces for the Federation.
Yes.
It's fighting against the Federation, to be fair, I think.
We haven't watched it yet, but we will be clued up on it, as we always are.
Hot gossip, I lost my heart to a Starship Trooper. Yeah, they were fighting for the Federation.
Okay, fine.
But in the meantime, please like and subscribe. Follow us on our socials at Podcast Gaze on Insta and TikTok. You can email us at theproblematicgaze@gmail.com. We do love to hear from you. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts.
Please hit that follow button because that's what really helps spread the word of the Problematic Gaze and bumps us up in the algorithms as well.
It does. Leave us a review, which does great work for us. We'll be very grateful. We might read it out on the Problematic Gazette, as long as it's a nice one, so make sure it is.
Yes.
Otherwise, don't bother. If you can't say nothing nice, don't bother at all. In the meantime, I was going to go and see if I could rob a pair of jeans, but actually I'm just going to go and see in a corner about social injustice in Britain. What are you going to do, Dave?
I don't know, because you've just changed it now.
Sorry.
You just pulled the rug out from under me.
I'm sorry, I just feel so annoyed. Come and seethe in the corner with me over a glass of wine.
Seethe?
Yes.
Oh, right.
What do you think I said?
I don't know. Couldn't quite work it out.
Just come and seethe in the corner in righteous anger with me while we try and work out how we can overthrow systems of inequality and oppression. Okay?
I can't, sorry, because Jeff Bezos has invited me to a post-wedding reception in the Bahamas.
Oh, that sounds nice. Let me come as well.
Sorry, I've got to get to the first-class lounge in 2 hours. There's a car waiting to take me.
Can I come?
No. Stay in your lane.
Vive la révolution! Until next time, gazers, au reservoir.
Au reservoir.